Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets creating structure. This is our writing week, and boy, oh boy, have we got some exciting writing going on. Victoria, lead the way.
All right, so you may recall over the course of the month, we talked about theme. We talked about using symbols, which is something that represents the big idea or the big concept behind the theme. And then we talked about some use of motif, which generally is repeating a pattern in a story so that you're communicating or signaling something to the reader from that pattern. So then I introduced you to a couple of ideas where themes or motifs or symbols are combined in such a way that you are reflecting or referring to a piece of art. It could be a piece of music, or it could even be a piece of literature. If you've been following the development of my novel that's been going on for almost 3 years, you know that the Voynich manuscript figures prominently in my novel. So for me, that would be a piece of literature that I'm making reference to make my point throughout the book. So when I issued my challenge about having you look for something, it could be a piece of art that represents something for you. It could be a piece of music that perhaps you can describe in detail, or you can use it to demonstrate a change in a character. Or even if you use some kind of literature, like I've used the Voynich manuscript, you're telling the reader something. So for your writing challenge, I want you to try two things. The first one is I want you to think of using the thing that you've identified in order to build toward some kind of emphasis of your theme. So let me tell you what I mean. If I were going to do this in my novel, let's say I was going to do a total rewrite and I was going to use everything differently, I might start with the Voynich manuscript as a symbol of human triumph over death. And throughout the story, I would always be bringing the story threads back around to how that manuscript is an affirmation of life. It somehow represents a triumph over death and ultimately builds to the climax of the story, which is the big revelation. Maybe a character has a massive transformation, and because of information in the manuscript, she becomes immortal. Ta-da! That's one way of using that motif to build towards something. The second way, if that doesn't feel like it fits your story or that idea doesn't resonate, is consider just using a motif, which is just a pattern. So let's say you set on the motif of a mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird, anyone? That quote comes from the novel by Harper Lee, where a mockingbird is demonstrated by a father to his children as something that should never be harmed. He's teaching them that we don't hurt things that are weaker than we are. We protect them. Well, what a great motif. So every time a mockingbird appears throughout the story, it hammers home that motif, that theme, that we take care of things that are lesser than or weaker than we are. What an important lesson to learn, especially as a kid. So that's what I'm asking you to do, is think about a story that you want to write or the story that you're working on, and either identify something that you can use to build toward a revelation that embodies your theme, or choose something that just hammers home an important concept by repeating whatever that item is. Those are your challenges, guys. So with that, I'm going to hand it to Kathleen. Everyone get busy.
Oh, right. That sounds really fantastic. We've been working on the character trait of equanimity. And character trait of equanimity is an unusual one for us because we've been working on empathy traits for a year now. And this is a balance trait. A balance trait, of course, we know is one where there's two ways to fail. And you can fall off of equanimity either by just losing it and just, you've lost all of your composure is just gone, or you can lose equanimity by just saying, I'm not going to struggle with it anymore. I'm not having anything more to do with it. Forget that goal. Forget that challenge. I'm just going to go back to normal life. I'm not going to try for that thing anymore. Actually, there's another way you can think of it, but it's more of a comic character, and that's the character who just, let me worry. I don't think there's anything problematic anywhere in life. But, that's just kind of a funny ha-ha kind of a character. So we're talking about two real challenges with what do you do in a story when your character is struggling, it's in the rudder position, your character is struggling with equanimity. So, to go along with that concept, I invited you last week to really stop and consider, what does equanimity look like? What does it look like when you see it in the world? What does it sound like when you see it in the world? What kind of things would a character say that would let you know that they're not making the best choice in equanimity, or conversely, that they're getting a handle on it and making a solid choice for equanimity? What might you see different? How might their behavior appear differently? So we're going to be writing a little story segment, maybe just a scene, where you can show a character who is struggling with equanimity and then demonstrate the choice that was made without saying, well, he gave up on equanimity and blah, 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 blah. We don't want to use the term equanimity. We're showing here. Show in your story that he either succeeded in gaining his sense of calm and composure and sense of mastery, or he let go of it in a way that just, you know, it's like kids when they kick the board game up, they're losing at Monopoly and they just kick over the board and money goes flying and hotels and houses go flying. And I'm not going to play anymore. So, but grown-ups don't tend to do that. Grown-ups tend to do things like shut their screen, close the book, cancel their whatever, and just stop working on it, on something they've been working on for a long time because they've lost equanimity. So that is your writing challenge for this week. Victoria, anything to add?
I tell you what, it just amazes me that this always works out. Because what if, in order to demonstrate the gaining or the losing of equanimity, you choose something to symbolize that, like slamming your laptop shut? Let's say someone is given a precious, precious gift, and in a moment of losing their equanimity, they smash it against the wall. That demonstrates a character shift. So think about the ways that you can use your writer's tools to lean into Kathleen's story and show how you can identify and give the reader that shift in the text. Powerful stuff if you're willing to do the work. But if you do the work, Kathleen, where might people come and find us if they want to share or learn more?
You'd come to LiLLiPub, LiLLiPub.org. It's where we hang out when we're not in YouTube land, LiLLiPub. And it's also the place where you get to meet with Victoria every Saturday in Fusion Writing. And we have a wonderful time. We get on a Zoom call, we talk together, we read each other's work, and we just have a wonderful time sharing our writing. It's priceless. The cost is still only $8 a month, and you can join us on LiLLiPub. But before you go, this is the fourth lesson in August. It's the fourth Monday in August. Usually that means that August 31st being a Monday, we would just say, have a nice day off. Nope. Come back next week because we have a secret surprise for you. So don't forget, come back. It's not a regular lesson, but you won't want to miss it. We'll see you then.
That's right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.